If you're in this house, I want you to get on your feet. If you're at home, put your hands together for the president and founder of the National Action Network, the Reverend Dr. Al Sharpton.
No justice.
No peace.
No justice.
No peace.
No justice.
No peace.
No justice.
No peace.
What do we want?
Justice.
What do we want?
Justice.
What do we want?
Justice.
When do we want it?
Now.
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 Fist bump the person next to you. Tell them you love them. Saturday morning, Saturday Action Rally Ensemble. Give them a big hand. Give them a big hand. Certainly we're happy to be with you another Saturday morning for the Saturday Action Rally. For you that are here at the House of Justice at 145th Street in the Village of Harlem, and you that are listening live on WLIB 1190 AM in New York, and you that are watching us live stream or cable, we're happy to be with you another Saturday morning where the action is. Give a hand to our presider, Attorney Michael Hardy, and our musical director, Minister Tyrone Richardson. And give a hand to Pastor McClellan, who did our inspirational message. Let me say, and I'm going to move quickly, I want to thank, first of all of you in Radio Land and that are here that made last week's Voter Rights March a huge success in putting our agenda. As we gathered that morning and got ready to march, I tweeted out that we're here getting ready to go with about 20,000 people. And as we got down the road, we marched about 1.5 miles from McPherson Square, headed to the National Mall in front of the Capitol. CBS said, no, it is 50,000 people. And I want to thank all of you that sacrifice. I do not take for granted people get up and get here at 3 in the morning to get on buses, but y'all did it. And to ride down 4 hours to Washington, ride back, to stand up for a cause takes commitment. And those are the people that make change in this country. Give yourselves a big hand. You know, a lot of folks just act like folks just do so. It takes sacrifice. And it takes commitment. And I don't think those of us, you know, I'm getting ready to write something. I'll talk about it later in the year. But I want to do a book on people that never got credit. You know, some of us go out and march and rally and do things and know we're going to be on the news. But the people that are at the end of the line, that ride 8 hours back and forth to Washington and know their picture will never be in the paper and they'll never be on TV, those are the real giants and champions of the movement. We are honored today to have with us the governor of the state of New York. And she knows that one of the young people that grew up in this organization, we known him from his younger days when he used to come here and hang around Teresa and them. He grew up right around the corner, 144th Street. And she chose him to be lieutenant governor. And I said to him, I said, you're gonna be at the rally Saturday? Because you know he's here most Saturdays. And I talked last night, Brian, with Reverend Jackson. Jesse's been in the hospital. And I was telling him, I said, you know, we have Governor Hochul coming in the morning and Brian Benjamin, you know, who was our station. He said, I remember last time I spoke there, Brian was sitting 2 people from me. I said, how do you remember that? But he remembers that. And I said to Brian, he said, I'll be there. And then I got a call saying that the governor's going to Queens to be with AOC to deal with some work in terms of the post-Ida hurricane ramification. But she's coming to Harlem to escort home her own lieutenant governor. So I want you to know that this is a real salute to him that she won, because she announced him in Harlem. But she said, no, I'm going to double back. Now, let me tell you something. She's been here before. That's right. When we dealt with the George Floyd case and dealt with Andrew Cuomo and all, she came and said, I don't have to speak. I'm here. I'm going to stand what I think is right. So it's not like we just met Kathy Hochul. We know her. And I want to, before we bring on, I want to acknowledge her husband, Bill, was a prosecutor, U.S. Attorney Hardy, in the Western District. That's Buffalo, all Western New York. And he was U.S. Attorney under Barack Obama and prosecuted more cases of policing because the local DA wouldn't do it. Stand up. This is the husband, the first gentleman of the state of New York. And we're glad to have him with us. And am I seeing things? Is that the bishop in the back? First time in a year and a half. Welcome home, Bishop Herbert Daughtry in the house. Wow, 90 years old. 90 years old. All right. Well, this is a day to come back. Bishop Herbert Daughtry, 90 years old, ran down the aisle. Y'all can't see on radio. He has been here since the pandemic, but he's here. and we're so glad to see him. If it wasn't for Herb Daughtry, none of us would be doing what we do. Before I bring the governor, though, I told CJ, give him Reverend CJ James, who works for the governor and who's part of our community and part of our faith leaders statewide. I said the appropriate thing, having the governor at the House of Justice, is to hear from a governor. And that is the first and only black governor. She's the first woman governor, the first black governor from Harlem, who had the state Senate seat that Brian Benjamin had. And so there's a lot of history up on this stage. Nobody made Harlem prouder and nobody was stronger than our governor. And I wanted him to have remarks before we bring her on and welcome up to the House of Justice. Our governor, our former state senator, our fellow go to jail for Amadou Diallo and led the march for Eric Garner. Give a hand, Gwen Carr in the house. Governor David A. Patterson.
When Reverend Sharpton started having these Saturday morning rallies, which was over 30 years ago, and we were in PS 175, we were in a school, I don't think we ever imagined where we would be today. Nobody was coming to visit us. Nobody wanted to, be part of anything that we wanted to do, but things have really changed now. So many of you in the audience who come here every week, who go and march, who fight for justice in this community, maybe you'd like to be governor one day. So if you would, and you look at this stage, my thing is, why spend millions of dollars on running for governor when you can run for lieutenant governor and wind up in the same place? We have had these events before. We have had people who were newly in office or running for office come here and raise hopes that they couldn't fulfill, make promises that they couldn't keep, peddle a bunch of simplistic exaggerations that parodied the truth rather than help us. And it's the reason why often we look with a little skepticism upon new candidates and new office holders. But that is not the case here. I've been working with Governor Hochul since 2003 when I became the minority leader of the New York State Senate. Her husband, Bill Hochul, and she were the first group to have me at their home when Governor Spitzer made me his lieutenant governor in 2006. Every time we have asked them for help, we have gotten a response. As Reverend Sharpton said, during the George Floyd situation, no one had to call Governor Hochul. She came here on her own. And so we can rest assured, we don't have to go through the anxiety that we have about hugging people and meeting people, and we don't really know what they're going to do. There's a proven record of performance that Governor Hochul held as the city clerk in Buffalo, as lieutenant governor of New York, and even in the first 12 days of being governor of New York. And she picked as a lieutenant governor a man who's walking distance from the House of Justice, Brian Benjamin, our new lieutenant governor. So if you have any problem, you can just walk over to his place because he lives around the block. And he serves food 24 hours a day in case you are hungry. So I just want to thank the new team that's in Albany. And looking at what they've done just in the first 2 weeks makes me feel confident that they will be there for quite a long time. Thank you very much.
When it was announced, I got the text message that the governor Cuomo was resigning, I started getting calls, and within the hour, I got a call on my cell phone, and I didn't know the number. And y'all know how some of y'all get my cell phone number, so I don't answer it, because if I don't know the number. And this number come back again, and I answered it. And the voice on the other side said, Reverend, this is Kathy Hochul. And I want you to know as I take over that I'm going to keep reaching out to all of you to work with us, because we've got to heal this state. And she said the first thing I did was get on my knees and thank God. She said, I don't pray standing up, I get on my knees and thank God for giving me an opportunity to serve. That's how she started. And we talked a little, and then she called me the next day, and then she called me to let me know about Brian Benjamin. Let me say this. We are at a critical testing point in this state. We have just been ravaged with Ida, which is why she's got to speak and leave and go join AOC. We've just had to deal with the issues of this pandemic that is not over. Our local Inez Dickens has just been found positive with COVID-19. She takes the helm at a time that we need clear-sighted vision and people who are not blinded by ambition, but that are blinded by having an agenda to serve the people. Well, let's welcome our Impact Television station. We're live now across the country. We need people that are sure-footed and that know who they are. The biggest problem that we have with a lot of elected officials is they are more concerned with who they want to be than who they are. And the one thing that always struck me about Governor Kathy Hochul before she was governor and now is she know who she is. Her self-awareness is apparent, and you can't help anybody else until you know who you are yourself. I bring you the governor of the state of New York, Governor Kathy Hochul.
Thank you, my friends. Thank you. To be introduced in such a way by a legendary individual who's had a profound difference in how we view the black community, how we view racial and social justice, how we even view democracy in terms of voting rights. Reverend Al, you are a great person, and your words are truly humbling to me to know that you'll be a partner of mine as we navigate some turbulent waters. But with you on my side and the individuals who are here today, I feel emboldened and empowered because God has put us here. God has brought us to this point. And I feel every morning when I wake up, I've got God on one shoulder telling me what to do, and my beloved mother in heaven, who I lost a few years ago, telling me what to do as well. So I feel empowered to be a voice for all of you, but not just a voice, a fighter, because I like a good fight. And we have a lot of fights ahead of us, my friend. But when I have people like Governor David Paterson as well, David Paterson, who has been an ally and a friend, and he's given me so much advice. And I'm going to continue to rely on him and empower him to do even more. Let's give a great applause to our great friend, David Paterson, as well. And I take inspiration from so many people. Bishop Daughtry, you coming here, 90 years old, getting up and literally jogging down the hallway here. I mean, what a man this is. What an inspiration he is. Let's give him another round of applause as well. But also, my friends, I'm a mom. And when something happens to children, our own children, even if they're adults, it's a searing pain to know that we've lost some people's children. They're their babies. And I look at Gwen Carr and the courage that she has mustered to stand up and fight for justice in her son's name and lead a national movement. Let's give a round of applause to Gwen Carr as well. Thank you, my friend. So here we are in the House of Justice. I love the sound of that. I love the sound of that. And my husband was a fighter for justice. He worked for the Department of Justice. And he made sure that the Department of Justice executed justice fairly. And he earned the respect of so many people. And President Obama elevating him to that position was one of the highest honors our family could have ever been bestowed upon. I want to thank him for being my life partner, my source of support, my rock for 37 years, and we signed up for another 37, so you're going to see him around for a long time. I love this man. Well, we're here today to make a wonderful announcement, and let me give you a little context. People say, yes, you've only been in office for 12 days. You're dealing with a pandemic which continues to rage, and I'll be speaking to Inez Dickens shortly. I didn't want to wake her up too early in the morning. I hope she's feeling okay, but she's been a dear friend. It's affecting people that we care about, and it continues. But we have to fight back. But we also have to get our kids back in schools safely, because too many children, black and brown children in particular, have fallen by the waysides. And as I said, I'm a mom, and I can't let that happen. That is too painful to think that all the hours of education and nurturing and caring they lost last year has affected them so deeply. We have to help our kids get back to school. I'm making sure that happens as well. And then on top of it all, we have people, because of the pandemic, who are at risk of being literally thrown out of their homes, evicted. Now, they lost their jobs not because they didn't look for a job. They lost it because the pandemic ended their job. People weren't going back to work. The hotels, the restaurants, the office cleaners. So many people lost their jobs, and the jobs aren't back. And they couldn't make their payments for their rents and their mortgage. And because of the Supreme Court, they were just about to be thrown out on the street. My friends, we already have a huge homeless problem. I'm not going to take any steps to add more people to their ranks. We have to solve that problem and take care of the people who deserve to be in the dignity of a good home. So we changed it. I brought back an extraordinary session, they called it. I made everybody come back to Albany. Sorry about that, everybody, but it was important. It was important that you be there to do the work of the people, and you extended the moratorium. You made sure that we could do that importantly, but also you did something that had been long delayed unnecessarily. And that was to establish the framework for going forth with the cannabis industry, because so many communities have been hit hard by indiscriminate incarceration for generations. Those communities deserve to have the resources flowing back into them, and it was all jammed up for some reason I can't even explain. Now I unleash that power, and we're going to have a robust industry, and people will benefit from this, so let's get that done. It started this past week as well. But on top of all that, Mother Nature must not like me very much, because she's really seemed mad when all of a sudden the heavens open up. And I live near Niagara Falls, my friends. I know what a lot of water looks like. Niagara Falls came out of the heavens and rushed into our subways, into our basements, and devastated people's homes. And I saw this firsthand as I walked the streets and wept with people and held their hands as they were on the ground trying to find if they could see a little picture of their baby pictures or their wedding pictures that were just ruined by the rain. It is heartbreaking. And I feel things deeply. If you know one thing I learned from my mama is empathy, feeling other people's pain. But it's not just feeling the pain, but it's also offering them hope. And by showing up, you give them hope. But hope is also just not enough, my friends. You give them hope and you give them help. You reach out and you give them the resources they need to rebuild, and that's what I'm doing. That's what we're focused on. We're also going to be dealing with gun violence, because it has ripped apart too many lives. People feeling preyed upon in their own neighborhoods, other individuals who need an alternative. They need to know there's a better life for them with good paying jobs and training, and I'm going to focus on all those. So that's just a quick snapshot of our first week in office. But I'm finding out I can't do this alone. I can't do this alone. I need a partner, because extraordinary times call for extraordinary leaders. And my friends, I found that person right here in Harlem, one of our own, and following in the great footsteps of David Patterson. I know talent. I know people who have courage. I know people who have heart, people who are decent human beings, a good family man, a wonderful father to Caroline and his soon-to-be-born baby right around Election Day. Great timing there, Kat. This is a real person. This is a person who understands what people are going through. And he was able to lift himself up, getting a fantastic degree at Brown University and a master's degree in business at Harvard University, okay? This is one smart man. And I want him as my partner, so I'm going to charge him with a lot of responsibilities, making sure that our NYCHA housing is restored to the way it should be for people, because they deserve the dignity of having heat on in the wintertime and air conditioning in the summertime and elevators that work and no more mold in their homes, my friends. This is America. We can do better than this. And I'm charging Brian Benjamin to work with me and my team to work on elevating people's lives and giving them better homes. And I'm also going to get him working on something else that he cares very passionately about, and that is restoring trust, dealing with the criminal justice system, and saying we can do better. Yes, we need our police and we respect them for protecting us in our homes and in our houses and our businesses. We need that partnership. But when people cross the line, there has to be much more accountability and a message that things will happen to you if you do something to someone else that's not appropriate. Let's rebuild here. And I feel confident in Brian Benjamin's abilities, again, to partner with me to get that done. I'm not going to throw out promises because I don't trust politicians to make promises. I never have, never will. You judge me at the end of our terms, and notice the word terms, okay? You judge us at the end, but as we go through this journey together, you are part of our army, okay? God's with us, God is guiding us, but I need the people on the ground, as Reverend Al mentioned, the people who aren't in the headlines, but the people who can make profound change in people's lives. That's what we're here for. My mother's favorite saying, and I'll close with this, and she had this on our refrigerator: go into the world and do well. But more importantly, go into the world and do good. My friends, we're going to do good for the people of the state. With Brian Benjamin at my side, we're going to do great things for the people of the state. Let's welcome our Lieutenant Governor, Brian Benjamin.
Thank you so much, Governor Kathy Hochul. Let's give her another round of applause. I would be remiss if I didn't give a big thank you to Governor David Patterson for all of his guidance, his counsel, his leadership. He is someone who will tell me the truth, whether it's good or bad. And that is the kind of leadership that you want. You know, I wouldn't be standing here right now if it wasn't for all of you. Reverend Sharpton, thank you for allowing me to join the movement, to be able to be a part of this amazing, amazing, amazing organization. You know, I remember the first morning, oh no, give him a round of applause, please. I remember the first morning I was supposed to come here at 9 a.m. I will never forget it. Teresa Freeman was saying to me, Brian, you want to do this, you want to do that. Oh, I know, I'm gonna bring her up real quick. You want to do this, you want to do that. You need to come to the House of Justice. We the ones who are doing all the work. We the ones who are active. I said, okay, well, what time do you meet, Teresa? And she said 9 a.m. Saturday morning. Now, when you are a little younger and there's something called Friday night, 9 a.m. Saturday morning sounds really challenging. I'm gonna tell y'all the truth. But I'm gonna tell you, from that first Saturday I came, it became so easy and so amazing ever since, because real work happens here. People's lives get changed here. The portfolio you just heard Governor Hochul wants to charge me with, I learned that work here. So I just want to thank all of you for allowing me to be a part of this movement. You know, it's one thing to get educated at fancy schools. It's another thing to learn how life really works on the streets. And the National Action Network, you have been my home. And as I move on to be Lieutenant Governor, as Governor Patterson said, I still live down the street. Don't come visit me that often. But I will do everything I can to be a great Lieutenant Governor. Let me also say before I sit, because I don't want to speak too long, Governor Kathy Hochul, I'm so thankful to her. And one of the reasons why I'm so thankful to her is because, as was mentioned, when she was Lieutenant Governor, I just got elected in May of 2017, and one of the first things I was doing was going to visit small businesses on 8th Avenue. Our local minority and women-owned businesses. By the way, the majority of jobs in our community, Governor Hochul, are our small businesses. People who are out here working hard every day. Some got a side hustle, some got a storefront, but that is where our jobs are. And so I said to her, I want to go visit our small business. I want to make sure that the state is delivering for them. I just got started. She said, Brian, I'm going to rearrange my calendar because I want to come walk with you on 8th Avenue. And she rearranged her calendar and she came to Harlem. And not only did she walk with me then, which is an important point, she has been a partner ever since as we try to make sure that our small businesses in Harlem are taken care of, even as we are dealing with the pandemic. Thank you, Governor Hochul, for not just being someone who says you're going to do something, but for being the person who actually does what you say you're going to do. That's how you restore trust in government. She has asked me to do a few things. She mentioned just now NYCHA and making sure that we have real resources, but also a real coordinated strategy for how we're going to treat our brothers and sisters who live in public housing. You know, it is easy to have very detailed and thoughtful strategies about everyone else, but we need to make sure that our communities where our people live get the same level of love and attention that everyone else gets all over the state. And she is committed to doing that, and I commit to you that I will make that a very serious priority. Secondly, she's asked me to make sure that our renters and our small landlords who have been devastated through COVID, people have lost incomes, they haven't paid their rent. We all know people who have up to a year, if not more, of rental arrears. The federal government has provided almost $3 billion to be sent out to our residents. We need to make sure that money gets to our residents. We cannot have that money stuck in Albany. She's gonna make that happen, and she's asked me to help her in that charge because it is not only right, it is also good for our economy, right? Some people forget, we are big consumers in this state. Black and brown people are big consumers, and when we get hurt, everyone gets hurt. She understands that, I understand that, and we're gonna make sure we get that money out. And then COVID. As you know, Reverend Sharpton mentioned, our dear sister Inez Dickens has been stricken with COVID. Fortunately for her, she was vaccinated. Fortunately for her, there are many others who are getting COVID who are not vaccinated. And what the difference is when you're vaccinated versus when you're not vaccinated in terms of the possibility for hospitalizations and death are vast. We have to figure out together what we need to do to make sure that those of us who are not interested in getting vaccinated, we can't just shove it down people's throats. We need to listen to people, we need to have real conversations, and we need to encourage and convince people that vaccinations will save lives, and that is what she's asked me to do, and I'm happy to do that, and we're gonna work together to make sure that happens. Lastly, let me say, I would not be standing here without my family and my staff who keeps me going. You know, when the governor called me and she said to me, I would like for you to be my partner. First of all, I almost passed out, to start with that. And then I had to wait for a second because, you know, y'all know my mom. My mom is always nervous and there's always a conspiracy around the corner somewhere. But I said, let me stop and see if she'll say it again or see like there's some kind of trick. But she said, you know, I want to start talking, blah, blah, blah. And I said, oh my gosh, this woman is serious. But she asked me and I said, Governor, you know, I need to talk to my wife. Because we have Caroline, she's 2.5. I'm looking at her, she's now 7 months pregnant with baby number 2, another girl. I'm gonna be like a girl dad like you, Reverend Sharpton. And I said, if we do this, this is not a me doing this, this is a we doing this. This is a big undertaking to join a governor who is committed and who works tirelessly around the clock to make sure that New York State's in shape. And I went to Kathleen and I said, Kat, you know, I just got a call from Governor Hochul. I didn't even know how to tell her. You know how sometimes you got to tell somebody something, you don't even know how to tell them what you're telling them? I said, and she wants me to join her. She's like, oh, that's great. but I said, well, wants me to join her as her lieutenant governor. And she almost passed out too, which I didn't need her to do because she's 7 months pregnant. And she thought about it, she walked around, she came back, she thought about it, she said, you know what? I think you'd be great for New York State. I think you and her be a great team. Let's do this. So I want to thank my family and my staff who helped keep me going. And I want to thank, lastly, Governor Kathy Hochul for being about it, not just talking about diversity, but being about it and making sure that she's going to have a collaborative, inclusive government where we all work together for the state of New York. Those who are closest to the problems are typically closest to the solutions, and we need everyone at the table, everyone on board to keep New York State where it is and grow even further. Thank you, National Action Network. I love you so much. I will be here. I will continue to be here, and we will make New York State the best state in the union together. Thank you very much.
Give a hand, our governor, our lieutenant governor. They're on their way to Queens. We thank them for being part with us this morning. And the first gentleman, Bill Hochul. Give them a hand as they... Let me say this as we continue our rally on the air and on Impact Television. Last week's march, and Governor Hochul supported the march and other governors. Let me give you the context that needs to be understood. As soon as the 2020 election results came in and Joe Biden beat Donald Trump, and there was several Senate seats that flipped where the Democrats became 50-50 with the Republicans. Because Biden won, Harris becomes vice president, which means that the vice president now breaks the tie in a 50-50 vote. When the Republican and the right wing realized that they had lost the White House and lost the Senate and lost the Congress, they looked at the demographics and understood that there was an above average turnout of black voters. I want you to understand why we are where we are. They also looked at the fact that according to most experts, that within the 2030s to 2045, the majority of the population in the United States will be non-white. So the population was going against their base, this is the right wing, and they were seeing an unusual rise in turnout. So if you can't count on bodies, you've got to start cheating on the process. These state changes in voting did not come from needing to fight fraud. There was no fraud. Even in Georgia, the Republicans, Secretary of State said he couldn't find fraud in the voting. What they do, you know, I used to be back when I was a kid, I loved Muhammad Ali, and then later I was close with Mike Tyson. I used to be a big boxing fan. The thing that you worry about, if you can't beat an opponent, you worry about whether the referee gonna cheat with the rules. And what they are trying to do is change the rules. Now, that is why our marching on last Saturday and the rallies that led up to Saturday and the members of Congress that went to jail and all was necessary. Because if you don't dramatize an issue, you will not make an issue become something that they will deal with. you hear a lot of people that have never been involved in anything talk about, I don't see what marching does. Marching don't solve a problem. Marching is not designed to solve a problem. Marching is designed to expose a problem. But if no one exposes a problem, they're not going to solve it. So the concept that Martin Luther King III and Andrea King and I had with NAN is if we could put at the end of the summer tens of thousands of people in Washington, it would culminate all the rallies and protests saying to the Senate and the Congress, who's got to come back in now, this has real concern. And you delivered over 50,000 people to do that. Now, right behind it, watch this. One of the main places of contention was Texas. Change the laws, gonna end this, end that in terms of voting. They come right back now and made a new law that women could not get an abortion in the state if they were pregnant over 6 weeks. Now, the first thing about it is many women don't even know if they're pregnant in the first 6 weeks. Then, to make it worse, is they said that we will give $10,000 to anyone that reports a woman going to get an abortion, so we can prosecute who gives it to her, prosecute the woman. We'll even prosecute the Uber driver if he was driving it. Watch this, though. Reverend, you talk about voting, how you jump into abortion. I'll tell you why. It goes all the way up to the Supreme Court. Y'all with me? The Supreme Court votes 6-3 that they are not going to hear the case. They didn't say they agreed with it. They said we're not going to hear it, which makes it remain law. By remaining law, today in Texas, you get $10,000 for turning somebody in. The reason the court, the Supreme Court, was able to go 6-3 is because Donald Trump was able to put 2 justices on the Supreme Court. The reason why Donald Trump could put 2 on the Supreme Court is because Donald Trump won for president in 2016. And the reason why he could confirm them is they did a carve out of what was needed for confirmation. They did a carve out on the filibuster and confirmed them 2 justices on majority vote. Oh, y'all run around talking about vote no matter? If it didn't matter, Trump wouldn't have been president. If it didn't matter, those 2 justices wouldn't be in the court. And if it didn't matter, then we would not be in the situation we in. Al, we can't get 10 Republicans to go with us on the John Lewis bill. We need filibuster. Then the same way you carved out to give us Barrett and Kavanaugh, you carve out and give us the John Lewis voting advancement bill. How you gonna have carve-outs to confirm Supreme Court justices, but you can't carve out for the very fundamental basic right to vote in this country? How are we gonna have a country that spent 20 years in Afghanistan talking about democracy, and you chipping away democracy in the United States by having these states by states go back to non-voting and or impediments on voting? This is why this is bigger than who got the biggest rally. This is bigger than who's going to be on the news at night. We talking about the fundamental basics of the democracy and the rights of people in this country. You run around with a lot of side talk. You just saw the governor here. Let me tell you something. When that rain dropped the other day, they don't have a mass meeting to decide what's going to happen. The elected officials decide. And you sitting up somewhere ignorant talk about, I don't care who's in. You can if you were in the basement and you about to get flooded. It rains so, you know, NAN is a black church-based organization, but you know, we got a lot of folk that are intellectuals. You know, Lieutenant Governor said he went to Brown and to Harvard and all that. We got a few folk that are well refined, educated. And one of them is Attorney Hardy. Attorney Hardy went to Carleton and all them Ivy League school. He believes in God, worship and all that, but he's more elitist in his theology. So the other night when Ida got to New York and Hardy was still in the office, and Hardy went and got on the subway and got off 125th Street going home, and Ida gave him a bath on the way home. I got to the office the next morning and I said to Attorney Hardy, did you make it all right in all that rain? He said, it rained 40 days and it rained 40 nights. With all his sophistication, he was looking for Noah's Ark between the train stopping the house. Who decides policy in a storm is elected officials. Who decides how we gonna come back to school for your children are elected officials. Who decides whether we gonna have zoning one way or another are elected officials. Don't let anybody get in the way of us having the power to decide who's gonna make the decisions on our lives. There is no better, greater use of your time than to continue to keep the power in your hand of deciding who's going to have the power over your lives. That's why we went to Washington last week. And that's why we're going to stay on. Now, this ain't going to end with one march. This is going to end by us continuing. What we need to do is have a fall offensive. We're going to start right as the Senate comes back in with not only daily vigils in Washington, we're going to have daily email parades on members of the Senate. We're going to be sending you stuff out telling you to hit your senators with these emails. We're going to start a chain of keeping the pressure on because we want a carve-out on the filibuster. We are going to bust the filibuster. We cannot sit by. When I look at the history of our getting the right to vote and the history of us maintaining it, let me tell you something. They have always fought against us having the right to vote because they know if we could put people in power, that we could change things. Right now, people talking about where they're going to get their benefits from. You had no benefits until elected officials put that in. You had no Medicaid, no Medicare. Talking about what kind of package you had no package. All of that will go if they get back in power. Because let me tell you something, if they are able to take the Congress back and take the Senate back, all that we are trying to gain, George Floyd bill, all the way to reparations, you can forget about it if you lose the majority of the House and the Senate. Guy called me on the radio show. week before last. Reverend Al, I respect y'all marching all about. I don't do that. All I want is my reparations. I said, well, let me ask you something. Who gonna give them to you? Well, what do you mean? I said, you want reparations from who? He said, from the government. And who decides whether the government gonna give you reparations? I said, it gotta be voted on by the U.S. Senate and the Congress. If you don't vote on who's in the Senate and the Congress, how do you think you're gonna get reparations? So you just running your mouth. Because who you think gonna repair you if you don't decide who the repairer is? Don't be talking smack. This is serious business. Well, they give money to this, they give money to that. They repair this, they repaired the Germany thing, they give foreign aid to this, and the Senate voted for it. We need to restore and protect our right to vote so we have a Senate that will hear what we want. That's why, as you heard Governor Coco praising Gwen Carr, they choked to death her son, Eric Garner, 11 times on videotape. I can't breathe. 11 times. The prosecutor out there in Staten Island would not indict the cops, wouldn't even bring them to court, held a grand jury and did not indict the cops. But add insult to injury, Bishop Daughtry, he then left the DA's office and ran for Congress and won for Congress. So the people in Staten Island showed their contempt for what we were fighting for. They promoted him. But Gwen Carr never stopped fighting. Some of y'all are fair weather activists. You only fight when the sun is shining. You only fight when it's going your way. But I like activists that's stormtroopers, that even when it's cloudy out and you can't see the sunshine, even when it's raining in your face and thunder's rolling and lightning flashing, you march on anyhow. Gwen Carr is a stormtrooper. And she kept on fighting. And when he ran for re-election, Max Rose beat him. And we got the state of New York, because of those in the state legislature that we voted for, made a law against chokehold. And to put a cherry on top of the sundae, they called it the Eric Garner chokehold law. Reason I know we can make George Floyd federal law is we made Eric Garner state law. You got all these pop-up revolutionaries, you know, like they got pop-up stores, you got pop-up revolutionaries. They never heard from them, they just pop up. And all of a sudden they speak for the people. Just pop up Negro revolutionaries. We the people. What people? We ain't never seen you before. How all of a sudden you talk for the people? I'm speaking for the masses. What masses? Ain't no masses with you. You call a 3-person rally and now you leading the masses. We can't win this. You don't know what we could win because you ain't never won nothing. We won stuff. So we know the formula for winning. If we stay on these senators, we can turn this around. Well, Reverend, we ain't got enough. They didn't have enough in 65, but they made them do the Voting Rights Act. We've never had the odds in our favor. We're odds breakers. We're not ones that play by the odds. We change the odds. That's why it run you right back into the Bible. I was listening to a brother did a eulogy for a friend of mine, and everybody always in the eulogies, Bishop Daughtry always like to quote Paul saying to Timothy, I fought a good fight. But sometimes you need to think about that, because Paul could only say that because he did that. At the end of it all, and let me tell you something, there's one thing that is definitely democratic, and that is all of us gonna die one day. I hate to give you the news flash, but everybody in here, young or old, gonna die one day. And at the end of it all, the best thing they can say is I fought a good fight. I might not have won every battle, but I fought every battle. I might not have been the best fighter, but I fought anyhow. And that's why I don't know what's going to happen in this voting rights fight. But I want to be able to say to my grandson one day, I fought a good fight. I don't know if Biden gonna last or Harris gonna rise, but I want to say, Al, I fought a good fight. And the reason I could fight a good fight, keep on talking, Paul, is I kept the faith. Oh yeah, they called me names, but I kept the faith. They ridiculed me, but I kept the faith. They put my personal business on the front page, but I kept the faith. And you don't keep the faith till your faith been tested. It's easy to have faith when everything's going your way. But when they dogging you out for no reason, can you keep the faith? When those that you help turn around and intentionally try to hurt you, can you keep the faith? Can those you lift up use the exalted position to push you down? Can you keep the faith? And that is the test that we're going to have to go through to pass this Voting Rights Act. This is a point in history that we must rise to the occasion. This is the point. We can't fight Rosa Parks' battle. She fought that, won that. We can't fight John Lewis' battle. We got to fight the battle now. That is our time. This is the time. History will record what we did about voting rights, what we did about women's rights, what we did in the pandemic. This going to be in history one way or another. And you could stand up or sit down, but it's going to be recorded. That's why everybody got into what personality and what group. I done got above all that. Because all of that scuttlebutt you got don't mean nothing. Don't mean nothing if we don't win this fight. The opposition, the adversaries, the advocates for restricting voting rights and women's rights are fighting, and they have a strategy and a loyalty, and we must have the same thing. If we're smart, we would be able to say to the women and others that if you don't help fight for our voting rights, you can't win because you need us in order to put people in. Rather than fighting each other, we need to stand together. I said that the other day. Lady said to me, well, you know, I don't trust the women's groups. Well, they don't trust you either. But let me say this. If they are able to sustain this law in Texas, it will be poor, mostly black women that are victimized because people are going to try and go get an abortion anyhow. And then you go back to these little guys that will permanently damage them. Whether you for abortion or not is not the issue. The issue is the reason people have the right to choose. If you don't believe in abortion, don't get one. But don't put people in a position where they go in these backyards and have hangers and stuff doing abortion because of some right-wing guy that says he's pro-life until the child is born. You love the child until the mama has the child. You don't want to give child care to it. You don't want to give good education to it. You're not pro-life, you pro-birth. But after the birth comes, you smother the life with your racism and your bigotry. So I say to us, stand together. And even if nobody's on our side, Porter asked me, and I let you go. Porter asked me, when we got through the march, said, Reverend Al, he said, I understand Martin Luther King III. He's Dr. King's son, namesake. Had a great mother, Coretta Scott King. He said, but I read somewhere about your daddy left when you was young, and you didn't have that kind of background. What gave you the nerve to keep going? I said, well, I'll tell you something. I grew up in Washington Temple, Church of God in Christ. And I learned a lot of things there, Reverend McClellan. And one of the things that I learned, they had a little song. Gwen Carr know the song. They used to teach us in Sunday school, Jesus loves me. This I know. Because the Bible tells me so. Little one to thee below, I am weak, but thou art strong. And the chorus was, yes, Jesus loves me. And I remember when Daddy left, and I used to sit in that house. They cut the lights off. Mama couldn't pay the utilities. And I used to look, my room was near the driveway. I used to look many nights, saying, I know Daddy coming back for me. And he never pulled the car back in the driveway. And I had to turn from a complex of feeling that my daddy didn't love me, but Jesus loved me. I went to school. At the times they were making blacks go to school with whites. The teachers didn't love me, but Jesus loves me. I grew up singing that song. I don't care if those on the right don't love me. Talk about me on Fox TV all you want. Yes, Jesus loves me. And when you got God on your side, you can fight the opposition. When you got God on your side, when you got the love from He that sits high and looks down low, the whole world can hate you. But yes, 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 Jesus loves me. This I know. Fight on, stand on, rise on. God is on our side. God is on our side. God is on our side.
Jesus loves me.
Yes.
This I know, for the Bible tells me so. Little one to Him belong. They are weak, but He is strong. Oh yes, Jesus loves me. Yes, Jesus loves me. Jesus loves me, for the Bible tells me so.
Everybody's singing. Everybody's singing. Everybody's singing. Everybody's singing. Sing it like you mean it. Sing it like you mean it. Everybody now. Everybody sing. Everybody singing. I'm open the doors of the movement. There may be someone here today that never joined National Action Network. You come to the rallies, you see us on television doing activities, you hear us on the radio, but never became a part of the organization. If you're here today and never joined and want to become a member, just step right down either aisle and come to me and let us have you sign up and become part of National Action Network right now. And there couldn't be a better time than Labor Day, than the Labor Day weekend to join. Come on down. If you're listening on radio, you can call right now and join on the phone, 1-877-626-4651, 1-877-626-4651. Or you can go online to www.nationalactionnetwork.net. If you're here and want to join, come on to me now. Everybody's singing. Everybody's singing. Everybody's singing. Sing it like you mean it. Sing it like you mean it. Sing it like you mean it. We want justice. We want freedom. Got to have justice. All right. All right. Before I have Reverend Bishop Daughtry say something, I want us to salute two birthdays this week. One on the 8th, Wednesday, will be the birthday of my youngest daughter, Ashley, who founded Huddle. And she shares a birthday celebration with Mother Nixon. Where's Mother Nixon? Bring her up. She will be 101 years old. Come on, Ashley and Mother Nixon. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday. Happy birthday. Happy birthday. Come on. Happy birthday. Ah, look at Mother Nixon. All right. Happy birthday. Happy birthday. Yes.
Everybody in here be a registered voter. Or can you say yes? I'm a registered voter. The times is very pressing. Do me a favor. Register yourself. Think of those 3 young men that died. Please register. It is so vital to our existence. And also I want to say, they're honoring the 369th people. My father was one of those men who fought in France to save us. But when they came home, they were treated worse than when it was over in France. So it is so important that you register. Register, please. Please do me a favor. Be a registered voter. I don't want anybody in here to go out without being a registered voter. Registered voter.
101 years old. Give her a big hand.
No matter what color you are, the devil is busy. Please register.
All right. Give a hand, Mother Nixon, 101 years old. Now let us settle. Let us hear some words before we dismiss from an outstanding historic figure in our community and nation, Bishop Herb Daughtry.
No justice? No justice? We're fired up? Won't take no more. All right. I'm trying to figure out why I'm here. I just woke up this morning, Reverend, and I thought I heard the Lord say go to the National Action Network. Now, I don't get to hear the Lord often, and when I do hear, I don't always obey. But this morning I said, yes, Lord, I'm going to the National Network, and I'm going to see my great friend, whom I have the highest admiration. And, you know, I didn't know who was going to be here. I didn't know the governor and the lieutenant governor and the former governor were going to be. I knew Mrs. Carr was going to be here, and I knew Attorney Hardy was going to be here, and the rest of you. So I'm here. Maybe one of the reasons I'm here is that I know what it feels like when I get to be 101. I told the Lord, when the doctor told me some time ago, well, Reverend, you look like you're not going to make it through this operation. I said, Lord, I just want to make 100. I was 86 then. So I've reached 90. But I want to say how proud I am, man. You know, as you get older, I think you begin to realize what's important. And one of the things you look at is how many friends you've made. What are the associations you had? What impact did you make on the world? And as I watched and studied the television, and vicariously, I was with you in all of the marches and all of the eulogies, and could relive those years that we spent together in Operation Breadbasket. You were just what, 11, 12 at the time, carrying voter registration drives, voter registration forms at 10, I guess, and the many marches. And I knew Mrs. Carr was going to be here because we were not just, I said we were, I guess I'm talking about me now, but what we did, we were not just fight for justice, yes we did, but we knew the families. We maintained a relationship with the families. We were pastoral. And so Mrs. Carr is here. We even go back to Darlene Armstead, Clifford Glover, killed by the police, April 1973. And we still have relationship with those families across the years. But I watched, and at 90, I'm feeling all right. Sometimes I tell you, I'm like a, thank you, I need applause. Lord, that always helps. But you know, at 90, you look at the people around, and you look at Eric Adam, you know, he was just a kid in the movement. That's right, I'm the one who told him, man, y'all need to join the police. We have to fight inside and outside. So some of y'all need to go and join the police force. He did. Tish used to sit up in the balcony when she was in law school at our church. And so on and on you go, and you say, well, in 90 years, maybe I made some sense after all. And so, Reverend, maybe I just had to come and see you and help me remember the days. One of the things I've learned in these days, by the way, I just been home for most of the time. You know the old, some of y'all remember that old song, I don't get around much anymore. Yeah, I thought I'd visit the club and got as far as the door. Then I thought about you and I don't get around much anymore. So I thought I'd attend many of these rallies and all these demonstrations, and I got as far as the door, and then I remember COVID-19, and I said, no more. And I turned back around and got in my house. So I'm just glad to be here, man. And I think if y'all, listen, it was worth being away for a year and a half to get that kind of reception that y'all gave me when I came in. Listen, I never thought I'd see the day that Reverend Sharpton, in the midst of a huge crowd, in the midst of dignitaries, stop and say, is that it coming in the door? You know, I wanted to go back and out and come back in. Yeah, that's Bishop Dorcher. Man, I ain't never had a reception. That's why I went into my little dance. And listen, I thought I was back in the ring, you know. I was about to throw some left hooks and right cross. I'm just glad to be here. Maybe that's why God said, y'all keep on praying for me here. Just keep on sending me this love, and I just might live to be 101. Thank you.
Bishop Herbert Daughtry, 90 years old. Let us all stand. I can't add nothing to that. To be able to see Mother at 101 and Bishop Daughtry, and they've been in the movement. She was a Garveyite all the way through, fought and worked with Brother Malcolm as Brother Bentley. If those that are the ones that paved the way can find some merit and value in what you're doing, then you know you are doing something worthy. Young folk get excited with the shiny objects. A lot of young people come up to me, I want to get a selfie, I want that. That's nice. But when the elders think you're doing something right, that, because they know the difference between what's right and what's not. They know the difference between what's real and what's not real. So don't just always look for the approval of the young, because the young gonna switch as they grow. But the old done seen enough to know what's real. And that's why it means a lot when you have one of the elder statesmen of our nation in Herb Daughtry, Mother Nixon, who's been a warrior for decades, over a century now. It means something. Give them both a big hand. Some of y'all go by what's trending. That's a new thing. What's trending today? My staff at NBC, what's trending? I go by what's historic. What's historic may not be trending, but it'll be here forever and ever. Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now I'm found. Was blind, but now. Repeat after me. We're an African people, robbed of our names, our language, our families, our self-respect. But we shall rise, never to fall again. Up, you mighty race. You can accomplish what you will. No justice, no peace. No justice, no peace. No justice, no peace. Fist bump with the one next to you. Come fist bump with me before you leave.